maybe just for the moment, and again, etc. So, and then at the end, you call for new names. That means you call also for a new name for sexuality.
New names, it's the general question of new names. I think names for joy, names for pleasure, names for enthusiasm, name for happiness, and so names for truths, names for new experimentation, names for the world. And after that, the question of sexual enjoyment. After that, we have to become probably to sexual enjoyment, but it's not the beginning.
No.
And it was my critique of the attempt of Jean-Luc Nancy to find sexual enjoyment as a beginning.
But on the other hand, you said, for example, like happiness or tenderness. That would be probably, my wild guess, that might be a new name for sexuality also, to not to disregard the violence and everything in it, but this is not really what is the most satisfying experience of sexuality.
No, but the possible new names of sexuality, I don't criticize at this point, but I think the new names for sexual enjoyment are in the situation today after the new names for love and after the new names for all truths in experimentation. We cannot find new names in the situation as such. And so we cannot find new names of enjoyment because enjoyment is the source of names today. It's a content of the dominant names. So you have to return probably in a form or in another to names for sexuality, but not from the enjoyment or from the sexuality in itself. So it is why I think that we have to adopt the classical metaphysical point of view. Enjoyment aside, after, not at the beginning. And it's a methodical rule and not an ascetic rule.
For different reasons. We are not really metaphysical here. We just borrow a certain gesture.
Oh, you know, Deleuze was saying, the question of metaphysics is not really a question for me.
Yeah.
And I agree with him. It's a question for Heidegger. It's not really a question for me. If somebody is saying to me, oh, your position is metaphysics, all right, no problem. It's also, metaphysics is today also a fetish, like democracy. You have to be against metaphysics. And I am for metaphysics. All right. And you are to be too democratic. Because it was after the conference of Savoy or Giorgio, maybe you are saying that we cannot be in metaphysics and in the great dualism of metaphysics. Okay, but the dualism between metaphysics and non-metaphysics is also a clear dualism. So it's a it's a difficult question to escape dualism.
Right, and I have to explain that enough that you only escape metaphysics if you go into it.
Yes,
that is right. So I mean, we are not so far away in this respect. I just don't
have to experiment metaphysics.
And at the end, what comes out is not something Plato would agree on. So your Plato is your Plato, not Plato. Yeah. But anyway, Heather, let's get the students in it. Yes, Heather.
Well, I think my basic question is, why do we have to have names? But I think I really loved your idea of a politics without fetishization, and the idea of having new names sort of reminding me of nation states that have a little revolution and move the boundary over 8 feet and a new name. And so I'm wondering if there has to be names.
Because if I think certainly there is an old conception of names, and I said that. It's not a nostalgia of the whole world, with names like class, workers, peasant, national liberation, and so on. But I think that when there is no names at all, for the large majority of human beings, there is no world, finally. So the question of names is much more important than the question of concrete determination. What is a name? A political name. What is a political name? A political name is a name across which we can find a position, a political position for everybody. So it's not the name of a political system, it's not an abstract name. It's the name of a concrete process of incorporation in political determination. And is there names in that sense for everybody or no? It's the real democratic question, if we want to find sense in the democratic world. So it's a necessity to have names and to create new names, because finally the creation of a new politics possibility is also the creation of new names. And after the destruction of old revolutionary names, which is the situation today, the imposition of the situation where there is no names is in fact a completely reactive situation, and a situation without hope for the world as such.
Is the naming kind of a ritual act?
Is the name?
The naming, the making of new names, is that a ritual act in a making of a new politics?
Yes, it's a possibility. I don't know exactly what is the strongness of new names. I know some fragments, but it's certainly not something like predicative names, class names, and so on. It's another style of nomination. And I think it's a real question, a real political question today. What is the new style of nomination of political agents, something like that? Yes.
First, I must say that in the beginning I was unconvinced, but then I got more and more convinced, because it took me some time, even if some people claim I write faster than I think and so on, it took me some time to get the precise structure of your talk. It has, I don't know if you noticed it, a precision. Namely, the first reaction is, my God, first part sex, we all like it, then obscure political question, but where is the link? The link is very precise, Platonic. To cut a long story short, and I hope you would agree, you better agree, is that jouissance is fundamentally nameless. And here I see your point. Today we live in a world which this namelessness is not even experienced as a lack. We perversely, if I may put it in a negative sense, enjoy it. You know, enjoyment is by definition that excess in an unethical sense, excess where you can say we just appropriate it in a technical way, how you manipulate enjoyment. We don't need a name. And maybe you would agree that the other big Plato would be here a very precise Plato, which is contemporary Plato, you know, philebos, limit, naming, limitless, linked to pleasure, and so on. And so, yes, I'm deeply sympathetic to you. Why? Because the way I see it, my God, first, quite a naive, commonsensical, almost why not journalistic perception. Today's rightists, and by rightists I don't mean liberal, but precisely conservative, and not leftist, but liberal politics, they may appear radically opposed. On the one hand, liberal left, you know, let's enjoy as much as possible. All that ethics can do is to formulate politically correct limits, so that I don't enjoy at your expense, so that, and so on. Conservatives against, but what they share, is it not that more and more today's politics is literally politics of regulating enjoyment?